So folks, it's 6 o'clock. Welcome to the Silverton High School parents, any staff members, any students that are joining us. Thank you for being here. My name is Ed John. I'm the interim principal at Silverton High School. Joining us tonight, James Rise, our athletic director, Geraldine Sheets, who's a teacher and a school nurse, Dr. Kirsten Barnes, who is a teacher and department coordinator and the facilitator of our reopening team, and Therese Gerwitz, who's assistant principal at the high school as well as the middle school. So welcome, thank you for being here. So we're excited about hybrid starting next week. You know, we think kids are going to learn more in person, and we're excited to have them back. And this will get us ready for the fall when we're back in school full time, everybody's here. And so taking, getting ready for in-person is something that we're really working hard to make sure that we're ready. And it's important for kids to do well academically, but our highest priority is the health and safety of our students. So for probably the last several months, Dr. Barnes and her committee has been working on a reopening plan. If you want to read, I think it's 49 pages. I'd be glad to share that plan with you. Very extensive, but it outlines what we're doing to make sure that kids are safe, and we've got safety procedures and protocols in place. And so Dr. Barnes is going to share some things. Geraldine Sheets is going to share some things. And then after we finish those slides, we'll respond to any questions that you put in the chat bar. And we'll try to answer all the questions you have. If there's some that we don't know the answer to, we'll work on finding the answer to that and get it to you in the next couple of days. This meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted tomorrow. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
Oh. All right, so I'll grab this one to get started with, and we can go from there. So I guess the big picture is what is in-person hybrid. I know we've talked about this several times lately, but we have our students broken into 2 cohorts based on the last name. And then you can see that we have 3 classes live in person 2 days a week. And then we have 8th period virtual in the afternoon from 2 to 3:25. And so it's important to realize that students have work 5 days a week. We still have lots of things going on, but instead of having our Google Meet like we would normally have, we're on site in person for those meeting opportunities. So that is kind of what our schedule looks like. We've talked a lot about that in the last few weeks, but just kind of a reminder for that, that students do have 5 days of work each week. Next slide. All right, the big 3 of safety. So for our team, we've worked really hard. We've met every week since June of 2020 about reopening and being ready when they first came out with the Ready School Safe Learners documentation. And the 3 things that we found from other groups, other people that really helped inform what we did was one was face masks and over the nose, under the chin. And so we're going to really stress that to make sure that our students are wearing their face masks correctly. 2, we're going to use hand sanitizer in every way possible just to make sure that we're using it appropriately and have it available for our students. And 3, we're using 6-foot distancing. Now, there are some things that we can go with 3-foot distancing on, but for the students to be most comfortable and to be able to have a snack, drink their water, do some of those other things, we chose to keep our distance at 6 feet at this point. As numbers change and grow, we can look at or fall in all reality, we can look at adjusting those, but our 6 feet can pretty much guarantee that we can start school and keep going. We know that as numbers go up, that there are rules in place that will put us into 6-foot distancing again. And so we wanted to pick something that we felt would be really helpful to us to be able to get started, get going, and really get our kids back in school. Almost all of our classes are under 18 people in size to start with. So the only class that's not is we have a couple of PE classes that are in the gym that have 24 students in them. But other than that, we've worked really hard to even out our schedules to make this work and get kids in the right place. Next slide. All right, Geraldine's going to take this one.
Okay, well, one of the biggies, and this is something that our nursing team, we have 4 nurses in our district, and we have worked very hard to put protocols in place to develop a new communicable disease plan and to do everything that we can to keep students healthy. Number 1, the most important thing is screening at home. So when the student gets to the school, they're going to be asked 4 questions once they're in their classroom, but we want to emphasize that families review this information, these questions with the students before they leave in the mornings. And number 1, have you been recently diagnosed or suspected of having COVID-19? Have you experienced any of the following symptoms in the past 48 hours? That includes fever or chills, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle or body aches, loss of taste or smell, nausea and vomiting, cough, difficulty breathing, headache, sore throat, congestion and a runny nose, or diarrhea. We really want to emphasize that if students do not feel well and have any of these symptoms, that they stay home. Our next question that staff will be asking students: have you been in close physical contact in the last 14 days with anyone who is known to have COVID-19 symptoms or COVID-19? This is also very important. And if students or anybody in the family is aware of a family member or somebody else who has COVID-19, it's very important that they gather information and figure out whether that is a reason to stay home. Our 4th question is, have you traveled out of Oregon in the past 7 days? This is not as important. It's not something that we're going to exclude them from school for unless they do have a yes to the first 3 questions. So number 1, very important that family screen. And then when the students come to school, they will also be screened in their 2nd period class. If for some reason something is missed and a student does indicate to their teacher that they are ill, they will be immediately directed to our screening room, which is an isolation room, and then we take it from there about what to do. But if there are symptoms, most likely, unless it's something that we determine is an allergy, the parent will be notified and the student will be sent home. Okay, next slide. Silverton High School does have access to rapid testing for COVID signs and symptoms, for COVID positive. In order for us to test students, they have to be symptomatic at school. If that's the case, we will immediately take them to the isolation room. We can only test the students if there is written parent consent. So at this point, it might just be calling a parent, asking them to come in and sign a consent. It is a rapid test. It will only take 15 minutes. And we can usually get an idea if they are COVID positive. Either way, the student would have to go home, but if the test is negative, it would mean just recovering at home from a cold or something fairly simple as opposed to COVID. We do have isolation protocols in place. When students do come to the isolation room, staff escorting them are wearing a mask. They are placed in the room and kept under continuous surveillance until they are sent home or a parent comes. Windows are open, staff is wearing masks. They have access to other personal protective equipment, and we are doing everything to keep the students and the staff safe. An issue has come up regarding seasonal allergies. A lot of students at this time of the year do experience allergies, and it's easy to get them confused with COVID symptoms. What we are telling students and parents, if your student is feeling poorly, but they normally have allergies, they need to determine, are these symptoms what I had last year at this time? Is it a runny nose and maybe a clearing of my throat or a cough, but I'm not running a fever, I don't have body aches, I'm not feeling really fatigued, and I get relief with my usual medications, then that's usually a seasonal allergy. If there is a student that we suspect has an allergy, it would be helpful if parents sent a note that says my student usually has allergies, these are the symptoms, and if you see him in class, that way we can document that and have it available if staff or other students are concerned. Next slide. Okay, masks, very, very, very important. This is one of the major ways that we are stopping the spread. Students must wear a mask, and it has to be over the nose and under the chin on campus. Masks must be made of at least 2 layers of breathable material, fully cover the nose and mouth, and be secured under the chin. They need to fit snugly so that there are not gaps at the side, but comfortable against the side of the face, and be secured with ties or ear loops. Face coverings that are not permitted include gaiters, open chin triangle bandanas, face coverings with valves, mesh or holes of any kind, face shields, and masks that feature content that doesn't meet the school dress code, and costume masks. Next slide.
So what should your students bring to school with them? Well, the big one we need everyone to bring with them is their charged Chromebook. So we just ask that you help students remember to charge their Chromebook. We know they're young adults, they're learning, they've done a good job of getting themselves ready to go, but it's going to be early in the morning when they come on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so the Chromebook and it being charged is going to be really helpful to their success. Want to make sure they have their mask with them. If they forget it, we have masks ready to go at the door when they get here. We ask that students bring their headphones. We know that some classes will have a little bit of time as they're getting done with work to work on their homework or to do their next phase. And so it's okay for them to bring their headphones with them. And then we're asking for students to bring a full water bottle with a straw. Now, it's not that we don't have water here. We do have water here, but it's just easier for them to bring their water bottle full at the beginning of the day. We have 3 water bottle filling stations at the school. But if everyone at the school brings their water bottle expecting to get those filled up, those lines will be really long and it just will take a lot of time. So we want them to bring their water bottles full to bring with them for the day. And we ask them to bring a straw just because it will be easier to access and make life a little bit easier for them. We don't have access to our lockers in COVID right now. That's not permitted through our ODE guidance. And so we're asking that they bring their backpack with their supplies for the day. And this will include everything from paper and their Chromebooks to pens and pencils and whatever they need to help them be most successful at school. And their teachers have been talking with them this week, just giving them reminders of what they need to bring. And we have some things here at school, but we just want to make sure to keep kids safe and have them have the right supplies for their use. And then an optional item, we have recommended maybe they bring their own little hand sanitizer. If they're eating snacks, instead of having to get up and down and do a lot of different things to use hand sanitizer, it might be best for them just to have a small bottle that they can stick in their backpack and bring with them, and just make it life a little easier for them as a whole. So that's one of the things we'd like to see. All right, next slide. Cell phones and Chromebooks. So we've asked students to keep their cell phones put away. We know that they've been busy with their cell phones for a long time. And a lot of people have used that for their education pieces. We have enough laptops for kids to use our laptops in the classroom. And we really want to use our time that we have in class to be focused. And so we're asking for them to keep their cell phones put away when we're in class unless directed to be used by their teacher. And so an example of that might be in their culinary class. They'll use their cell phones if they have them sometimes in order to use like a QR code to download a recipe that they're going to be cooking, or maybe to set a timer for their cook stove when they're working on that. But there's different opportunities for us to work through that. If students haven't checked out a Chromebook, they can check one out at the school. We have people available to check those out from 7:30 to 3:30 at the kiosk. And they can pick those up tomorrow or Monday, or they can just get them when they come to school on Tuesday or Wednesday. And on the first day of school on site, they can pick one up at the kiosk second period or fourth or sixth period. If you have a Chromebook that you're thinking, it's had better days or it needs some help, you can bring those back in. The kids can trade them in and we can get them repaired and go from there. So it's really important that they have the materials they need to be most successful during the day. Next slide. Water, breakfast, and lunch. So We already mentioned the water piece. We want them to make sure to have their water bottles. We know that being hydrated is important for us. We are serving free breakfast at the high school, so students can get free breakfast when they come into school. They can make their way in through the gym entrance door, which is door 6. All of our doors are labeled at this point, so if kids are curious, it's fine for you to drive around the high school. You can drive by and see all the different door numbers located on our outside doors at this point and be able to see that. We're serving breakfast from 7:30 to 7:45. It's going to be a warm breakfast that they can come in and eat. Wait, back one. And then from there, we'll be able to make sure that they eat in the commons. When they get done eating their breakfast in the commons, they'll be able to go to their second period class. If a student doesn't eat breakfast at the school, that's fine. They'll just go straight to their second period class when they get here. And then lunches are ordered second period. So we've designed a form that matches up with our school lunch calendar. And the students will have their choice of the vegetarian item or the other hot food item. All students are eligible for these free breakfasts and lunches during the pandemic. So we just encourage students to sign up for them and use those and have that option. And when they pick up their lunch, they'll get those 6th period right before it's time for them to leave. And it will include their breakfast for the next day and their lunch for the next day also. So it's a really nice option for families. Next slide. Snacks. So I would say snacks has been one of the biggest conversations we've had with our reopening committee. We know that people have been home for a year, that snacks are important. We have growing individuals that need to keep themselves nourished and go forward. But we also know that sometimes snacks is something we do when we're bored and just kind of keeping focus on like, when do we need a snack and when don't we need a snack? So we recognize that students may need to eat while they're at school and have a snack, and we fully support that. We're going to do this by really having those snacks with their masks on at the same time. They can bring small food items. We gave them a list of different things from goldfish and crackers and cut up fruit, different things that they can bring with them in a pre-packed snack. But we just ask that they bring things that they can easily eat without having to fully take off their mask and move through that while they're in the classroom, because we are working really hard to keep everyone in class and keep everyone safe. We'd like them to use hand sanitizer before and after they eat the snack just to keep themselves safe. And then when we're done at the end of the period, they'll throw all their garbage in the garbage can before they leave the class. We're pretty much going to stay in seats. Now we will have classes that will go outside. I know the photography class will be going outside, doing different things. They're not trapped in their classroom by any means, but we're just trying to keep as orderly as possible as we're doing these different things. And in some classes, it won't be appropriate to eat the snacks because we're doing chemistry labs and biology labs and all different kinds of things. And so, the teachers will be talking with students. The biggest issue for our students is they are so likely to share snacks in the past. And it's not unusual for someone to bring an amazing snack that they brought from home and pass it around the room. And we just can't do that in this environment. So we're reminding students that they can't share their amazing snacks and that it's their snack to bring in and eat on their own. And then that they just self-monitor snacks. We're not going to have a snack time. It's not time for everyone to break out their lunch boxes. Literally, it's just, when you need something to get it out of your backpack, have that snack, don't interrupt class. And their teachers will talk with them about when it's appropriate and not appropriate to do so. So we feel really good about our students being ready for that. Next slide. And I think that brings us to our resources.
So Therese, have we seen some questions we ought to take a stab at?
Yep, sorry, looking for my unmute button there. So question is about eating while wearing masks and making them unsanitary because of the food and stuff, and then them not being as effective, so then kids are possibly getting sick, and the guidance.
So we have extra masks available for students between that and those different things. We're just trying to really do a good job of working through with our students staying in their spaces and having those snacks safely. So we have lots of extra masks. They don't have to keep the same mask on the whole time. We can trade them out.
Okay, and then a question about what about if my kid has to take like regular medication the day or has like an appointment in the middle of the day, like how do we pick them up or if they need to get some medicine? like a regular, like an ADHD medicine, not talking like somebody who's sick.
Yeah, so I'll have Geraldine answer the specifics about the medication, and then I'll take how they check out.
Well, in the past, students have come down to the main office to pick up medications, but the Ready School Safe Learners and Oregon Health Authority have strongly encouraged that medication administration be done in the classroom by the teacher. So what I'm hoping for is that in the past, the medication was usually around noon. So I strongly encourage, if possible, that medications hopefully can be done when the student leaves school and goes home. If that's not the case, then I'm going to be working with each individual teacher to see if they'll be able to administer it in the classroom. And if that's not possible, we'll just work out a system where they can get it down in the health room. But it's going to be different this year, and it's going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
For students checking out for appointments, obviously we want to keep the kids in class as much as possible, but if they have to leave on the day that they have a cohort meet, we have a checkout system in place. The student will have a Google form. They'll have all the codes for those on Tuesday and Wednesday when they come to class, but they'll fill out that form about what time they need to leave and say where they're going. Hopefully parents have pre-excused them ahead of time. And when the student puts in their form, that allows them, when it's time to leave their classroom and go back by the attendance office, where they'll be by door 3 kiosk, and they'll check out of the building there. They won't get a town pass as they have in the past that would send them to and from class. It's literally all done online with forms, and that's why they have their Chromebooks and all the other information. And when they go by, if Mrs. Brown is there working at that office, they'll be able just to say who they are, and she'll be able to wave and document what time they walked out the door. So that's really the way that system is set up. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible with less paper and make it quick for our students to be able to continue to do what they need to do.
If I can interject just a second, while we were kind of talking about attendance, we only have about 2.5 months left. Graduation is still June 10th, and the last day of school for students is June 18th. So I'm hoping that students take attendance seriously. And right now, coming to school is your job. And so we need to have students in school, engage, finish this year strong, so that we don't have to have a whole lot of people having to go to summer school or make up credits. So help us with that and finish this school year strong. We've only got April and May, so a little over 2 months.
Yeah, and I would say one of my highlights from this week, we were doing orientation and we had a question and answers at 1 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon with all of our students that were able to come back. And one of the seniors made a statement of, please don't screw this up, to their fellow classmates, and really focusing, we want to graduate, we want to have a good ending on this year for our class of 2021. And so we're just asking families to really work hard with their kids, with their families, to make this the safest place in town, so that we can make sure that we get our kids through the school year and we can make this a good end of the year. I mean, we know it's been tough the whole year. We are so looking forward to students being back in class on Tuesday and being able to really celebrate together and work forward. And we know we have lots of guidance to make this happen for us, but we really believe that we can come back, we can have a good time, we can continue to educate your kids and have them ready to go. And we just look forward to this being our first step back to normal, moving forward as we get ready to go to the next step. So we're excited about it.
Thank you. Another question. Students bring laptops if they're of their own to school instead of a school?
Students can bring a laptop. We just say that it's at your own risk to bring your own laptop with them. We know that kids have been used to using certain laptops, and that's fine, not a biggie. We do have enough Chromebooks for everyone in the school though, and we have them all set up ready to go on our Wi-Fi. So if they need a little help, their teachers can help them some, but we just want to remind you, there are certain risks of bringing your own laptop to school in case of, things happen.
Thank you. Next question. Can students, use cell phones during passing periods?
They can use their cell phones during passing periods. We're just going to remind them that they have to be mindful when they're in the hallways walking. So our passing periods really are more transition periods at this point. We have 10 minutes, but that 10 minutes includes kind of getting done, cleaning up in the room, getting to their next spot. They're going to work their way through the hallways. We can't really have them talking on the phone and navigating as they're walking back and forth. So we want to just really work hard at being really wise when they're using those cell phones in the building. So, and we still have the rule of not having earbuds and earphones and headphones on when they're walking in the hallway. They need to be able to hear what's going on around them to be safe as we go through the hallways.
Thank you. All right, and I see my little typing button is loading. That's in there. Just wanted to touch bases here we have Mr. Rise, and he was going to give a quick update about activities here real quick, and then we can grab a couple more questions before Mr. John wraps us up tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Gerlitz. I just wanted to share out with folks, just as a reminder, that next week does officially start season 3 for our athletic department. So our season 3 is our traditional spring sports. So our softball and track and field and golf and tennis and baseball folks will be getting going next week. Just a reminder that our student athletes have to be completely cleared with everything through our online registration portal, which is Register My Athlete. And if you have questions about that, please feel free to contact the athletic department and we can help you through that process. Also, if folks have questions about who to contact, I might be new to the building and I have a freshman student athlete that wants to get involved in a spring sport, but I don't know who the coach is. Again, please feel free to contact the athletic department at any time. We will help get you connected with the right folks, and we hope to offer whatever experiences we can for those kids in the spring, and so we look forward to doing that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Barnes and Geraldine, did you have, what's perhaps the most common question that somebody asks you? And perhaps somebody is that out there and hasn't asked it yet.
Most common question. I think really it's what does it look like inside? I mean, like, what's it going to look like? Mr. Mcgee has done an amazing job of putting the streets of Silverton High School together. And if you watch that video, you will see an amazing amount of work done on our floors to really make a great way for our students. I said it's really great for our students in driver's ed because they are going to learn about signaling and all kinds of things about moving across the hallways. But I just think part of it is just being comfortable. For me, I've said all year long, be prepared, not scared. So we've worked really hard to prepare our team, to prepare our staff, to prepare our students, so we can come here in a safe environment and just really kick off the school year in person with a good start. And so I would just say our school is ready. We're ready to start learning in person, and we welcome them back.
I agree with that. I know that our nursing team, actually, just like the reopening team, was meeting already back in July. And so we were meeting all summer. And of course, things keep changing and changing, but the goal was still just to get the students back here, get everything in place so that the chances of any infection will be low to zero.
Okay, thank you. So one final question, and then we'll hand it back to Ed. And the question about the differences in the snack and eating protocols between the other schools and the high school.
I don't know what the other schools are doing, honestly. I just know what the high school team has worked on because of the guidance for people that are over middle school age. And so that's the only thing we've worked on as a whole.
Okay, sorry. I think this was more specific about that other schools, the students can take the masks off while they're having a snack, but not at the high school.
Yeah, and we just came to that conclusion based on what some other schools have recommended from around the country. We have quite a few teachers that we work with that have colleagues that work in places like Arizona and Missouri that have gone to school all year long, and that's some of the protocols that they've used in those schools to keep their kids safe and keep them open the whole time. Our students are older than the elementary schools, and they are more likely to be susceptible to COVID-19 than some of the younger students. And our kids have the potential to interact with more people. We're the only school in the district that is changing classrooms from period to period. The other schools are all in self-contained classrooms, and we have a higher risk as we go through. We also have a lot of students that have medical issues that really want to be able to come to school. And when the team met, that was the best option that we could all agree on. I mean, in the end, every decision we had to make, we had to come to some kind of consensus and agreement over what we could support and move through. And at this point, that was our best answer. Now, remember, we put our plan together before a lot of these other rules were in place. And so we've changed our plan a great deal. Since the 19th of March, we've had 4 major changes from the Department of Education since we submitted our plan. So we will continue to monitor and see how things go and be ready to be flexible as things change. But at this point, that is our best plan that we can put forward, where we feel like we can make it to the end of the school year no matter what happens. And we feel like we wanted to put together a plan that would not cause us to have to shut down and restart and go backwards. We want to move forward. And so that's how we came to that conclusion. A lot of people did not want us to have any snacks at all in the building, and that taking off masks and doing those different things was an issue potentially. And so we really had to work to come up with a solution.
And I'm sorry, I know that there's 14,000 topics that people can ask questions, but another question just came in really quick that I think is important. Then I promise I'll hand it over to Ed. One of the parents asked about it. Can you explain how bathrooms are used? Like if you need a bathroom break?
Yeah, we're happy to do that. Our bathrooms, we have been talking about how we use the bathrooms and how we go from place to place. So we were able to update it where our large bathrooms are able to have 3 people in them at a time. We've placed 3 bump lights, I would call them, where you use your elbow on them, and it shows how many people are in the restroom. If there's a person in that restroom, you bump your elbow. When you go in, it turns the light on, and if there's 3 lights on, you form a line to wait for the next person to come out. And that is the way those are set up. We have a restroom pass set up for kids to be able to put in, so that if in the long run someone was ill in that restroom, we would be able to identify who had been in that area all at the same time. And be able to keep track of those different things. We're really trying to keep kids as safe as possible. Our restrooms are being cleaned 3 times a day while students are there, and then they're being heavily sanitized each night. So we are cleaning throughout the day, and we are doing lots of sanitization at night. We're using electromagnetic sanitization, all those different things that take place with that. So we've worked really hard to make our bathrooms clean, make it easy for students to use. But they will be using it during class time, not during our transition time, because our lines would be huge if we did that. And so we're really trying to keep the lines down, make it really easy for kids to be able just to pop out of class during their 85 minutes and then make it right back and get back to their schoolwork.
So a couple of things. One is, want to make sure you knew Sione Thompson is our new principal for next year. He's actually coming early in May. I talk to him at least once a week and sending him some materials to look at. And he's really excited about being here. He has 4 daughters and has family on the West Coast and is looking forward to getting back to Oregon. Presently, he works for the Department of Education in Hawaii. Sharp guy, real eager to join the Silverton family. But, I appreciate you so much in being a partner with us to make this happen. These kids, when they're my age, they'll have something to tell their grandkids and say, man, I lived through the pandemic and it was crazy. Maybe my senior year in high school, we had pandemic a whole year. We had wildfires. We're out of school for 8 days. We had an ice storm. We're out of school for a week. But yet we're resilient. We persevered. And with the staff and the parents and the kids working together, we're going to get through this together. So I appreciate your help and support as we move forward, and we will stay in touch. We'll continue to keep you aware of anything that we're making, any adjustment or changes. I'll continue to send out a Parent Square on a regular basis and try to have good communication with you. So again, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it so much, and take care. Have a good evening.